Hey everyone, it's Adrian. As you know, the US just swore in a new president. We're just gonna move past that today. I was following it on social media as we tend to do these days, but there was another event that was happening at around the same time, and this was the Women's March for Equality. And it was awesome. It wasn't just all across the United States, it was a global event. It was so great to see all of these pictures of women and their allies out and protesting for their rights and for equality, which was really great. And I spent ages sort of flicking through Instagram, looking at all of these pictures of pussy hats and a sea of pink shirts. And it was really, for the most part, very uplifting. But then I came across this image and it stopped me in my tracks. Literally, you know what it's like when you're on Instagram and I'm just like, whoa, okay, stop. Fuck white feminism. My immediate reaction was, wait, what? No. What is this about? I'm thinking feminism's feminism, right? Well, I mean, why do you want to discount a whole chunk of people who are fighting for the cause? But then I had to say to myself, no, what does this actually mean? What is fuck white feminism? Is this a movement? Is this a thing? Is this someone's opinion? Then it got me thinking, what is white feminism? Because I really just thought that it was feminism. So I decided before I really developed any opinion one way or the other, I needed to research these terms and what was going on. And I'm so glad that I did. And I think that's such an important thing to remember, is we're allowed to have our, visceral reactions to certain things that we see, but we need pause. We need to pause and ask the questions, or do a bit of research and find out exactly what's going on there before we then sort of voice our own opinions and throw our own 2 cents into the mix. And I'm really glad that I did, because I learned a whole lot of shit. And it's interesting because my reaction was just so white feminist. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of that situation, I wanted to just talk about feminism, and I'm not mansplaining here. If you're watching, you probably really have a great grasp of feminism, but there will be lurkers out there who are probably too terrified to ask questions, or too shy, or just think they're going to fuck up by asking a question. And I want to say this particularly to you. Feminism is a simple concept, and it comes down to oppression and equality. It's essentially, there are branches of activism and philosophy that seek to identify the oppression of women, the ways in which women are disadvantaged, the causes for them, and it serves to try and remedy these and fix the inequality and bring things back up to playing field. Sorry, that was super inarticulate, but it is essentially about identifying why women are oppressed and in what ways they are oppressed, and then work to fix that. It's not about putting women above men. It's not about creating a power differential that swings in the opposite direction to the one that exists now. It is really about bringing things up to level playing field. And how can that be a bad thing, right? Well, that's naivety on my behalf, because looking into things, I realized that feminism really has been the domain of white women. That's not a bad thing in and of itself, but in the process of our conversations in white feminism, we have systematically ignored the voices of other people who are not white and who may not be straight or who may not be able-bodied. There is obviously a racial power differential in this world tipped towards the white people. Really what white feminism is feminism that fails to acknowledge the intersectional group of people. And when I talk about intersectional feminism, it's talking about people that have got different experiences and different levels of oppression, or different levels of disadvantage and different levels of advantage and privilege than us. For example, I am a white male, I'm gay. So white is my privilege, male is my privilege, because the system is stacked in my favor. I'm oppressed when it comes to my sexuality, because I'm told that I can't have the same civil rights as straight people. And that's, where I sit on this nebulous cloud of oppression and privilege. However, somebody next to me might be a black woman who is gay, and we consider that obviously being black is at disadvantage in our society. Being a woman is still disadvantaged in our society, and being gay, as I mentioned. So this is where her disadvantages intersect. And it's not as though she experiences racism and misogyny and homophobia as distinct entities, but they actually combine to create an experience that is greater than the sum of its parts. And it's an experience that I can't understand because I won't experience it. And that's intersectionality. And white feminism has failed to acknowledge the women of color who are experiencing both misogyny and racism. Trans women, I mean, there are branches of feminism out there that are trans exclusive, which pisses me off because trans women are women and always have been women, regardless of what their body has looked like. Intersectional feminism is really important because if we're entering into a conversation about women's rights, then it's not the same for everybody. White women are going to experience things differently to women of color. And so what we need to do is address that there are different experiences and there are different needs that can't be addressed with one viewpoint. We can't say, this is what we need to do for women. We need to kind of take into account where different disadvantages intersect with each other and attack that as its own special issue. And I think that's probably where we've been failing. A lot of the talk of feminism has been by, powerful white women or famous white women. There are no real representatives for black women or for women who come from lower socioeconomic backgrounds because they just don't have a voice. They don't have a voice that the media seems to want to listen to. So why I don't call myself an intersectional feminist, and it's basically the same reason I don't call myself a feminist, is because I see it as being appropriation. And it's me. This is a problem that affects women, and women of color and women of different backgrounds. It doesn't necessarily affect me in that same way. I mean, of course it doesn't affect me in that same way. So for me to take on the term of feminist, it's sort of like I'm derailing and pulling focus from them and their issues, and I don't want to do that. Am I a feminist ally? Absolutely. Am I for intersectionalism? Abso-fucking-lutely. Yes. I'm not going to take that hat of intersectional feminism and put it on my head when it can go on someone else's head, and it should go on someone else's head. A black woman, Kimberly Crenshaw, came up with the term intersectionality or intersectional, whatever. And black feminism was something that came about because of black women. I'm not going to take that, but I'm certainly going to support it. And you might ask, how do you support it? I mean, you can just say it, but what does that do? Does it do anything? Yeah, it does. We all kind of get bogged down with keyboard activists and that kind of thing, and we think if we share a post or if we like a post, we've done our bit. It isn't the case. But if you've got a voice, right? I mean, if you've got a platform of any kind, then, and I mentioned this in my last video, but you need to speak up and you need to amplify, or you need to signal boost somebody else's plight, somebody else's issues. If you're amplifying the conversation, if you're signal boosting the conversation and petitions and that sort of thing, then the message does get spread. That's what you can do to help. You can educate yourself as well. It's really important. Everyone is going to get things wrong from time to time, and that's fine, okay? As long as we're trying to understand why it's wrong and to change our behavior. And don't take offense if someone is actively saying, hey, look, that's racist. It's actually a racist thing what you're doing, or that's misogynistic to think that way or to say that. Don't get offended by that. People in the activism space are so tired. We get fatigued just thinking and talking about these things, let alone attending marches and that kind of thing. So if someone's taking the time to actually say to you, this is why it is wrong, they care about you. Trust me, the amount of times that someone has asked me to explain something about gay rights to them, I've just said, look, you've got Google, go and look it up yourself. I'm not an ambassador for homosexuality. Go and find out for yourself. The amount of times that I've said that in one way or another to people, I can't count. But the people I care about, I'll explain things to them, but it is draining. So make sure that you're educating yourself and trying to find out the answers to questions that you have yourself. Always, there are always places you can ask questions. Another thing is ask the right questions. So if you're reading about an issue and you say, wow, this affects women, just wonder how it affects black women, or how it affects gay women or disabled women, or anyone, whatever the issue is that you're thinking about. Ask those what if questions, change the scenario, and see how you feel about it then, and see if those same questions or even solutions apply to that group. And that's how you can help. If it offends you to hear that white people are racist, then look into why and how you can change things. Your discomfort is kind of irrelevant when at the other end of the scale, you have people losing their lives, people being raped, people being disadvantaged in a myriad of ways, and you're experiencing discomfort, don't expect any sympathy. So what I'm saying is, if we all stop, we all have our reactions, right? And you can't change your reaction. But if we have pause, if we stop and we say, why do I feel this way? What is this issue actually about? And look into it for yourself, then I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, and you might learn something, and you might grow in your emotional intelligence and in your social integrity. And that's only going to benefit everybody, and most of all, you. So that was what I wanted to talk about today. That was my burning sort of thing ever since I saw that picture on Instagram and experienced that little oh shit moment of what was going on with fuck white feminism. And I agree, fuck white feminism, get rid of it. Let's start talking intersectional feminism and consider everybody's point of view and everybody's experience. That way we can all move forward. That's the only way we're going to move forward, and that's the only way we're going to make a difference in everybody's life. So I'm going to end it here. Thanks for joining me. If you don't know, I do have another channel which is knitting related, so that's Alternate. You can check that out. I'll put it in the description box below. I did say on that channel when I was starting this one that it was going to be a place for me to talk about social and political views, and that's what I've done so far. But basically, it was a second channel that I wanted to create because Alternate, the main channel, I kind of created it to be very structured, and I don't feel like these kinds of videos have much of a place over there. But this is going to be some random crap on this channel, which is what I wanted it for. It's sort of like a freeform version of Alternate. So don't be surprised if some random stuff shows up from time to time. But look, guys, thanks for joining me here. I love your comments and your opinions. Let's keep talking to each other and help each other grow more and more. Please comment if you have any comments about this, as I'm sure some people will, because they are difficult topics for people to talk about. But subscribe so that you can get updates when I upload new videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye.